Pashupati Adavni. He will join us in just a minute. Okay, he's ready. We can go to him. Pashupati, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What are you celebrating?
No, I mean, celebrating what was left of the market, and I'm enjoying what's left of the IPL as well. So I think...
Okay. No, but on a serious note, Pashu, I mean, does it seem like what we've seen in the last two sessions is just a temporary blip, or do you think this corrective phase could last for a while with the rupee only dampening sentiment when it comes to the FIIs?
Well, you know, I think what was said in America basically says don't expect us to keep continuing to do this. We are maybe going to vary the amount of money that we put in every month, and this is like an enabling provision. So instead of saying we're going to put $85 billion a month, he's taken permission to slow it down or accelerate it depending on the U.S. economy. The U.S. economy is looking a little better, so that's the good thing. And I think that will probably drive the whole world. But what it does do is put pressure on the rupee, because it does mean that, all of a sudden things here look even slower, and, I think that that's keeping people on the sidelines, and that's putting pressure on the rupee.
Pashupati, if I look at this week's price action, Nifty is down about 100 points. In the overall scheme of things, that's hardly anything, because from 12th of April, benchmark indices are up 10%.
Well, as you rightly said, it's only 100 points. And if you look at it in dollar terms, it's actually, worse, because, the dollar's off about 2, 3, 4% in the last couple of days, almost. It feels that way anyway. It was just a couple of days ago, it was 53 something. It's now almost 56. So that is, of course, the major concern. But I think that, what's happening is that people are sitting on the sideline. The other thing is that we've got a huge number of offer for sales that have to get done by June 4th. And I think that is also putting pressure on the market, because it's creating supply. Whatever you may call it, it is bringing more paper into the market. And a lot of it is good quality paper as well.
So are we going through a lean patch where once rupee stabilizes, once the jumbo AFSs are out of the way, markets will regain momentum? Or do you think in the near term we've hit some kind of an trading top?
Well, I think that, it will really depend on what people's moods are. May is always a difficult month. And I think in June people come back. This is a worldwide phenomenon. You mentioned also there's a lot of listlessness in the US. It's because there's a long weekend also coming up this weekend. And a lot of people want to sort of cut their positions before going away. And it's also a lot of holiday time over there. But I think that, fundamentally money is still coming. As long as this QE3 is continuing, money is going to continue to come into India. And, all right, we've had 13 billion this year plus. The rate may slow down, but I think the direction will still continue.
Pashu, we've heard from, the BOJ, we've heard from the Fed overnight. What does the RBI do? Because that's going to be the key trigger point for the market next.
I don't think, the RBI is particularly concerned about interfering too much. I mean, these are sort of controlled gains. They may interfere a little bit and tweak it, but I don't think they want to sort of either stand up to the dollar wherever it is, or defend it with large amounts of money. I think they may intervene, psychologically at a number of 57, and so it may come back to 56.5 or 50. I think they're just not going to be too aggressive about it.
What about a rate cut, though? Do you think they would please the markets with that?
Yeah, I guess that's the expectation. But the other interesting thing is that the finance minister has put the withholding tax on bonds down to 5% from 20%, but that's effective next month. So again, whatever bond money we're going to see, we'll probably see next month, and that will bring fresh inflows in as a result of that. And I guess a lot of that will go into the infrastructure space.
If rupee weakens further, do you think the macro trade, which fueled a lot of momentum, and the market rally in April, that trade could reverse?
Of course. I mean, everyone was talking about the rupee strengthening. I mean, not everyone. A large number of the population was talking about the rupee strengthening, and now suddenly it's weaker. But at the end of it all, that's what makes markets. And I think that, the fact that you were able to put on a trade in April and it starts unwinding so soon is interesting at best.
So how are you managing this week's volatility? Where are you putting your money to work?
No, actually, I've been sort of wrong in the sense that I actually liked gold, and gold is down almost 15% from the highs in April, so it's been quite wounding. But I think that people may start going back into gold and into commodities simply because the dollar and other currencies are looking scary, and I think that's probably where people ought to be looking at putting money.
What about financials, Pashu? Because they are the ones which have really sort of given the leg up to the rally that we've seen in the last 4 weeks. Do you think that's going to be a continuing trend wherein the banks actually hold out?
Well, the fact of the matter is that as money comes into the system, and particularly as debt money comes into the system next month, banks are actually going to be better off because their loan defaults are going to be less. And we'll probably see it now that this quarter they're not going to be so aggressive in showing the sort of loan loss that they want to take off. So, I think that people are buying the high beta banks, and, they are liking that sector. Of course, as the results come in, you're going to have banks going up and down. But I think generally that sector is headed up, at least for the moment.
So do you like SBI, which is slated to come out with its earnings today?
Yeah, I think SBI long term is fine. I think that the results may, it's one of these things, you buy on rumor, sell on news. So once the results actually come out, there'll be some selling, and then, then it'll settle down again, and then it'll probably move up again. So,
Is there any hope of L&T moving up anytime soon? And would you at all recommend putting money there?
See, the issue with L&T is that it's dependent significantly on the infrastructure sector. And the thing is that, it's all very well to be in that space, but you need customers who are going to pay your bills. And what's happening right now is that everybody's gone slow on payment, and that's obviously affecting the valuation of L&T. So what I think will happen is, let's say next month some large infrastructure bonds come in, and then those companies actually pay their bills to all the infrastructure companies like L&T. Then I think that L&T and others will do better. But we do need that impetus in that segment to actually kickstart our market.
Pashupati, but the grain of truth is that Indian markets are still hostage to global cues, and we are still dependent on global liquidity. At a time when it is widely assumed that central bankers are unlikely to pull the quantitative easing plug out, should one really buy this market into every decline with the assumption that global liquidity will bail us out?
Well, we've seen our finance ministers all over the place. Currently he's gone to Europe, and then to the Qatar, and then he's going all over the Middle East to Abu Dhabi to basically pitch that India Inc. has got infrastructure story, and they basically want to have, give you issues where you can, put money with a small withholding tax, but at least you can put money into work and you're getting good enough yields. I think if that starts to attract, it's going to be money coming into the system, not necessarily money coming into the stock market. But I think that if money comes into the system, it will also be good for the stock market.
So what could be the turning point for Indian equities? Because not once, not twice, but 3 times in last 3 years, Nifty has failed to scale up above 6200, above 6250.
No, I think we need a concerted amount of money coming into, infrastructure, banking, sort of new businesses, the sort of HUL type deals where, you're taking $5 billion off the table. That money is going to come back into the system. Some of it's going to come back into the stock market. So I don't think that, things are as bad as people make out. And I think that, one of the things that we forget is that, yes, we are driven by global cues, but we've got a lot of serious global players over the last 2-3 years who have actually put serious amounts of money into buying Indian assets. And I think that's what we've forgotten.
So you are bullish. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I'm bullish, at least at the moment.
So give me a stock where you would like to follow a poker strategy. I know you like to play poker. One stock where you would like to go all in.
All in? No, I am still a believer in the commodity cycle. I'm also still a believer in the FMCG story. I actually still kind of like ITC. I hold it. I've had it for a long time, and I think that it seems to be continuing. The numbers of that company, ex-cigarettes, seem to be doing better as well. So it's one of my favorites.
Any of the mid-cap FMCG/consumer names that you would bet your money on?
Well, I've been a follower of Marico. It's a company that's done well. It sort of continues to chug along and do, it continues to surprise. And, unfortunately, I exited a little earlier than I should have, but I think that's a company that's always available to watch. And it's a nice proxy for the big ones as well.
The Paras acquisition, do you think that could be a big baggage for Marico? Because so far the Paras acquisition has not turned around.
Well, I think that they have the management bandwidth to do it. They've not done it stupidly. It'll take a little bit of time, but I think that they should be able to get it aligned.
Markets are extremely bullish on Maruti. Do you think the recent price action in Maruti is a function of weakness in yen, or there is reason to buy a Maruti fundamentally as well, because here's one car company which, irrespective of the competition, has managed to retain their market share at 30% plus.
You know, I think that you just said it, Nikunj. You know, we're seeing the numbers every month. You know, we've just seen the numbers, and you know, you suddenly realize that the Swift Desire is the car of the moment, and then suddenly the Ertiga is the car of the moment. So they keep producing models that are sort of filling in niches, and they seem to be doing it faster than anyone else. And I think that's their strategy, and that's the great part about that company. And again, you know, this time last year they were having all sorts of issues. That also has made a difference, because you know the stock was it was about 40% lower than where it is now.
Mm. And as the IT department continues its probe into the IPL spot fixing case, look at the way India Cements has been bleeding. A double-digit cut yesterday and today as well. The selling doesn't seem to be quite over. Let's just bring up the intraday chart for this one, because it's been seeing some massive selling. Okay, I stand corrected at that. It's recovered after a negative start. So some way of short covering is what you're seeing on the stock right now, up by about 1.7 currently.
Is it a good time to buy into India Cements, because whatever is happening with cricket will have no implications on the cement business? Pashupati?
Well, you know, I like cement companies, but I don't know if I want to be in cement and cricket, given right now the state of affairs. You know, I think that, you know, the pure play on infrastructure is to go into cement companies. Unfortunately, they've also got their knuckles wrapped because of the competition commissioner having fined all the companies. But I think that, you know, that's the play, because at the end of it all, we don't care which company is going to build the buildings and build the roads or build the bridges. But they all got to buy cement to do it. And I think that's the key.
So would it be the likes of the Ultratechs, Ambuja, ACCs of the world that you would bet?
Yeah, I think we're seeing, you know, strong money coming into those stocks first. Don't think they're looking at the valuations as much as, you know, the liquidity and the sort of the actual operating of those companies. And I think that you know, you need to buy the best, and then the rest sort of follow.